Today we got a 750 John Deere MC2 system. They're reporting no GPS, so we'll have to check the cable, check the antenna. But I'm also thinking they found a little bit of rocks. Man, that's some boulders. Wow. Let's take a quick peek at this thing. These cables go bad so fast. So we'll check the voltage coming out. That feels a little loose already. That doesn't feel right. Look at that. That doesn't feel right. Alright. These cables, they don't last very long. Whack them one good time. We'll check that connector up there. Alright, let's go get the multimeter. And most of the time when you're checking GPS, no satellites, all you're going to need is a little pair of pliers and a multimeter. Let's jump up and check the system, see what it's actually saying. They got their master ground up. Okay, here we go. We got power. So that's good. So the old GX60 box, and well, see their MCR3, they do have a cradle point which has power and data light. I'm not sure what they're using out here, base or network. There's nobody out here today except for a bunch of boulders. That's a lot of boulders. Imagine they're tearing this equipment up pretty good with those boulders. This looks like the only machine they have GPS. They probably use it for fine grading. Come on, there you go. Ooh. That was ugly. Alright, so let's see. Nope. So they are using a base, and they don't have their base set up. So I'm not going to be able to tell if... well, I guess I am. Outdated firmware. Outdated 3DMC. So we can do a couple updates, but first things first, let's see if there's life in this GPS antenna. So the first thing I do, knock this cable off. Test for voltage here coming out of the hood. That's because that's coming straight from the MCR3, and then I'll test the cable. If the cable's good, I'll go up and I'll test the antenna. So we'll check here. And what always happens here is what I expect. Check that pin in there, make sure it's not all flared out, make sure it's still going to make contact. Make sure that pin you can still touch with your finger, and you see there's no resistance. That tells you one thing right there real fast. It's probably got voltage, but it's not making ground contact to that connector. So we'll check the voltage on it, and we'll see if we can flare those out. Obviously we have a voltage issue. That's 0.34 volts. It should be 4.9. So not enough voltage coming out. That could be the GPS card in the MCR3 went bad. Now we need to locate this MCR3. So there's our MCR3 up there. Now what I noticed right away is they have that's our GPS cable. That cable's going to run under the machine up inside the engine compartment up to that hood mount right there. So that's one long cable, but obviously they've had to do a repair because this was the original. It's yellow. and it's way back here, disconnected. So what we'll do, we'll knock that off right there, and we'll test the voltage coming out of the MCR3. If the voltage is good coming out of there, then it's most likely going to be a straight cable issue, maybe rubbing somewhere. And yeah, there's some, whoa, there's some rubbing there, you see it? Alright, let's check that voltage. So why do I check voltage at the hood first? I do that for a specific reason whenever there's a GPS issue on an MC square, because that breaks the system into two pieces, the MCR side and the antenna side. If you have voltage coming out of there, then you know that the MCR3 side is good. If you don't have voltage coming out, then it's bad. If you have voltage, then you know it's this side. So right now we don't have any voltage, so that led me back here straight to the connector. I'm gonna have to take this MCR3 out because I cannot reach that to get that fitting off. That's a strange mount position for that MCR3. And if you can see, we have the same amount of voltage coming out of the system as we got way out there, so it's 0.3 volts. Yeah, we have got a bad GPS card. So I actually have one on me, so you'll get to see me replace that. This was very interesting how they installed this. Not sure how they even got their hands in there. So I'll have to take this whole MCR3 out. That is a dirty MCR3. So with this, we're gonna have to open it up. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that cover will pop off, and the GPS board will be in the center. Let's clean that up first. And once you get those 4 screws out, it's just a matter of lifting the system out of there. It's pretty clean. At least some parts of it. Alright, so your GPS, it's actually set up for 2. It's got 2 boards. That's the radio. Main board is on the bottom. Back plane board. So, you just have to check, see which one. So it's coming into this plug here. That's the main. You follow the antenna cable. It's going to be this lower one. Geez, we can probably just take the take that board out of the auxiliary, put it down here, and see if that works. That'd be worth it, huh? We'll give that a shot. So very carefully, just take a little pair of pliers and pull off the antenna from its card, like so. Normally, MC square systems only have 1 GPS card in them. This having 2 is definitely good, because then we can just swap out those 2 cards and see if it works. That'll save them $4,000 for a new GPS card. $3,742. And they can just reuse theirs. So hopefully that works. Hopefully their auxiliary is good. We'll find out. It's got 2 front covers on it. 2 screws. Just loosen those up, take them off, pull the cover off, and the card will slide right out. Be careful, there's a little wire attached to it. I'll show you that. And pull the auxiliary out first. That's the one on the top. And if it'll come out. And right on that little white plug, should have been a wire attached, but looks like it's just connected to the main, and there it is on the main. So just knock that wire off, and we're just going to swap these 2 cards out. The way you get this little wire connector out, you just take something small. I got a little Allen wrench, stick it right down in the middle right there, and it pops right out. And we'll just insert it into this one and run with it. looks like an older card. 125 megabytes, and that's 2 gigabyte. So that's an older card, but I mean, if it works for them, we'll see. That one's 2 gigabyte. We'll find out. And you just put it back in its slots and you slide it right back in. Be careful of that wire. Push it into place. Right on the back side is another connector. And we'll just stick this bad card up in the top. Screw them down, put the antennas back on, put the cover on, wire it up, and test it. Now to test it, just reconnect your A and B cable. We don't need the GPS on there, so we're just going to test for voltage. So if we got voltage, essentially the rest of the system should work if the cables are any good. Oh, I gotta turn that master switch on. Alright. Just turn the system on. There we go. And it fires up. Check for voltage. And there we go. We got 4.95 volts. Perfect. That's what we want. That means that other GPS card was good. Didn't cost them any money. It didn't cost them $3,700. So now all we need to do is connect our GPS cable and go in and check the system, see if it's actually picking up satellites, which it should be. We might need to just update this firmware. Well, definitely update the firmware. I remember it being 4.7 or something. So let me get that on there and we can. So before I connect this cable, I just fixed that problem. I just went ahead and reflared those out so that now we can have the resistance. We should have nice resistance there, like it should be. Screw that on and we'll go check this. Alright, and then all you really need to do in here is go ahead and restart. We're still going to have an X over antenna because there's no base setup out here. Nobody's out here. But go into GPS, go into your GPS info, and you should actually start picking up satellites. This is still 0. So I actually had to connect this to my data cables to my computer and update the firmware on that auxiliary card that I swapped out. It was 4.1 and we're currently on 4.8, so it just makes it easier to do it this way. It's loading now. So the thing with these large boulders around here, this is near Albemarle, North Carolina, and there used to be an ancient volcano somewhere near Concord, and of course all the land shift and everything, but there was an ancient volcano out here, and that's what they say all this remnant is from. Some big old boulders. Alright, let's give it a try. So I hooked it up to my computer. I took the MCR3 out, hooked it up to my computer because this system wanted me to use an external keyboard. And what a pain in the butt that is. Just an older system. So what I needed to do was the IP addresses for those cards are assigned. The main is going to be a 100, 192.168.0.100, and the auxiliary is going to be a 101. So I had to change those IP addresses because I'm now using the auxiliary as my main. And while we were in there, just basically updated the firmware. So it just made it a whole lot easier. So now when the system comes up, we should be reading satellites. If we're not, then we still have an issue. Maybe the antenna. One card can burn out that antenna. It's that simple. So, but hopefully that's not what happened. We'll see. Yeah, I'm definitely going to update 3DMC. There we go. I mean, that's looking so much better. Bam! We're in. System's good. Ready to go to work. Here we go. I had to actually power off and power it back on. It's weird. Sometimes that USB port recognizes, sometimes it doesn't. So open up your storage device, double click, and it's going to run automatically. This is the 12.2.535. This is the most current 3D MC. There we go. That's what we need to see. It's a little slow. It feels like it's got a fever. Might have a lot of files in it. Saved files. Alright, what are you doing now? There we go. Accept. Next. There it goes. Give it a few minutes, and then that 3D MC will look completely different. Okay, so basically it's just gonna run through a finish. Once you select finish, you can exit out, go back into 3D MC, and make sure the change happened. And hope it doesn't crash. It is a GX60, but bam, there it is. That doesn't look right. Hold on. Yep, I guess so. 12.2.535. Okay, they just have a lot of features off. Show boundaries. Okay, yeah. Let's zoom out a little bit. You know what it is? They don't have a model. I don't know what that is. Let's see what their project looks like. BridgeNet. I wonder why they have it on the BridgeNet. Alright, well, there's not a whole lot of changes on this one. But we're green. We're tracking satellites. We're updated. There's all our satellites. And we have good values on our blade. Awesome. So now, just have to remount that MCR3 and we're done. This thing can go back.